the Chamber of Commerce webinar. I'm getting my screen up real quick here. And I'm Rodney Fong, President and CEO of the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce. This is the Chamber's 170th anniversary, and the Chamber is member supported. It's kind of like KQED, so we appreciate your participation, your membership, your sponsorship, and whatever you can give to keep the Chamber alive and supporting the business community. Today, we are very excited to be joined by Joaquin Torres, the Director of Office from the Office of Economic and Workforce Development. Joaquin, we have 30 minutes together, so I'm going to be very efficient with our time. And I know that you've been working incredibly hard over the last 9 weeks here in this crisis and recovery mode, and so I want to give you as much time and leave a little bit of time for question and answers.
Thank you, Ron.
Yeah, Joaquin has been with the mayor's office since 2018 with Mayor London Breed, and before that was the director of Office of Neighborhood Services and the president of the San Francisco Housing Authority. Joaquin has been responsible in leading the charge for so many different things in the city over his career with San Francisco, and has really tried to create opportunities for all, stabilizing economic conditions in San Francisco, looking at social impact of San Francisco and residents, the business community, and the nonprofit community. So I can go on and on with your resume, I know, and your other many talents. But I know that maybe you want to just spend a few minutes, Joaquin, giving an update of where we have been, what's happening, what's going forward, all the different projects. I know when I'm asked those kind of questions, it's hard to break them down. So yeah. I'll let you take it away.
Well, fantastic. And thank you so much, Rodney. And really, again, just deeply, deeply appreciative for the leadership, not only of the Chamber of Commerce and all your staff in supporting the business community at this time, large, medium, and small, and really focusing on the importance of that community, both for our workers and for our neighborhoods. And very much also deeply appreciative to you and your leadership, Rodney, as the co-chair of the Economic Recovery Task Force. I know that we're very much looking forward to our next meeting taking place later on this week, where we can begin rolling up our sleeves even further and sharing updates on the conversations that have taken place to date, not only among task force members, but also those that the members have been reaching out to garner more community feedback that can complement the surveys that we've been doing, making sure that we as a city are hearing from San Franciscans, San Francisco workers, about what's important to them and the values and principles they want to see at play as we look towards recovery. So I'm very deeply and very much deeply grateful to you and everyone at the Chamber for your partnership, and also especially recognizing the vulnerable individuals that we are trying to support with shelter in place to ensure that we have a handle on this public health crisis. We're seeing widespread severe impacts across the city. Anyone is a click away from information that's bombarding us daily in terms of the severity and also the continued uncertainty of the impact that this virus has on human beings, just as individuals, and then also the economic impacts that we are constantly seeing. Millions of Californians facing unemployment. More than 83,000 San Franciscans have filed for unemployment benefits since March. So the level that we're seeing right now across neighborhoods and industries is unprecedented. And many of our businesses have temporarily closed or are finding ways to adapt to stay open. I have to say that walking the streets when I'm able to and seeing how quickly people are adapting to make sure that people are safe is fantastic. I also have to say at the same time, there still are some businesses out there that are not taking the same level of care that I think they should. And I think most specifically, perhaps some laundromats could do a better job around sanitizing to make sure that those families, those low-income populations that need access to those resources are also paid attention to as well. Everyone's been talking about the new normal that's going to be required to prioritize public health and keeping each other safe. And so we're doing everything we can to provide resources to our entrepreneurs, to support our workers and families to get through this crisis. So I'm very grateful to you for the opportunity to speak again, Rodney, and to Jay and to others at the Chamber for all the support again. You've been at the forefront of the core of the advocacy efforts at the local, at the state, at the federal levels. I thought you did a great job on the panel with Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara and our state representative Scott Wiener and David Chu to ensure that the needs of our small business communities, in particular throughout this emergency, are being met. What have we done? We've launched new loan programs, new grant programs, created new systems like our hotline to make sure we could be responsive to small businesses and workers. We've established our own operations center within OEWD for all of the nitpicky questions and uncertain questions. How do I interpret these public health orders that continue to come out? Where is the guidance coming from? And we are taking all of that information and diving deep within the bureaucracy to make sure that those answers, to the best degree that they can, those questions, to the best degree that they can be answered, so that businesses can navigate with as much certainty as possible in a very uncertain environment. So we feel pretty proud about the work that we've done so far in terms of those advocacy efforts, in terms of the tax relief, in terms of the resources that have been brought to bear, in terms of the coordination that we've done, in terms of staying attuned to the conversation with the Recovery Task Force, and ensuring that you and your members and your leadership and chairs are really driving this process through immediate conversations. Most specifically, when we talk about what's going to be needed with the recent announcements and criteria for reopening, and to what degree we can while maintaining the success that we in San Francisco have achieved. I think this is very important to constantly recognize, to maintain the success that we have been able to achieve because of extremely strict policy and data-driven choices that we have made as a city and in the surrounding counties to ensure that the crisis that's affecting us right now is not more severe than it needs to be. We know that other jurisdictions have not felt the same level of success as San Francisco has. That is because of very specific actions that we have, as a city, have taken. So I just want to highlight that again. 14,000 businesses, 167,000 employees impacted here in San Francisco in terms of the industries that are being affected right now. We, as an economic development office, are obviously very, very keen on, through a public health lens, through a very stringent public health criteria, seeing how we can responsibly lead to ongoing recovery, stable recovery through a reopening process. And so we're very much looking forward to sharing more of those details in the days ahead as we gain more clarity as a city on how we're going to do this and what direction can be provided. Again, the time to be here today, Rodney, is important so that I can be responsive, the city can be responsive to those questions, and making sure that the community knows that we're thinking about them, we're thinking about you, and ensuring that you have what you need to guide you through this extremely difficult time. So thank you so much again for having me here, Rodney.
Yeah, thank you, Joaquin. I think you have a reputation in some of your responsibilities in the past with the Neighborhood Services, Office of Neighborhood Services, is being a good listener. And it's so important, I think, for you and all of us to understand what is going on the ground on many different levels, and San Francisco being so complex with different sizes of businesses, organizations, nonprofits. Maybe you can talk a little bit about, the stable recovery is so important, but jobs, and the notion that San Francisco maybe is a land of creativity. And as you mentioned, some businesses and organizations are doing a better job than most, but it's sort of a new social contract that the customer even has with the business, or the employee has with the employer. Maybe just, if you can, just talk a little bit how you think this creativity or innovation can take us places if we allow it to.
Oh, I think I've been so grateful to people from the business community that have reached out proactively and wanting to share the work that they're doing. I think what's extremely valuable and important to remember is that the business community we know, whether small, medium, or large, are thinking about not only ways that they can meet the criteria, but how they can exceed it, to ensure that they're thinking so proactively about ways to reopen responsibly and considerations that have to be made, and also sharing that information. I've been amazed, and I was talking to my counterpart in Oakland yesterday, and sharing all of the work that's been shared with me and the information that's been shared with me, because our collective success is contingent on us being communicative and sharing information with each other. So I think any ideas that people have need to come back to us as quickly as possible. Don't be shy about that. Share that information with us. We've been talking to large coffee shops. We've been talking to unique experience businesses that are proactively sharing with us how they're thinking about staged and phased reopening so that they can kind of test our thinking as a city when we're in discussions with public health or policymakers around how to do this responsibly. We're taking every great idea, interpreting it, shaping it, refining it, but bringing it into the conversation so that those ideas and those tactics can be incorporated as best they can for the purpose of recovery.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. Somehow, we feel like we're maybe alone in doing this for the first time, but all major cities, all counties are dealing with the same questions about what
Yeah.
recovery looks like. And so, if we can learn from each other, as you just illustrated, what is the best?
Just something more on that, Rodney. I mean, I'm lucky to be on a phone call every single week with economic development leaders across the country every Monday evening as I can. And since the beginning, everyone has been generous. Everyone is sharing. People are looking to San Francisco for how we've been able to tackle putting hotels online. We've been sharing that information with folks. Neighborhood economic development directors or economic development directors have been sharing their programs and tools and thinking about reopening. They've been sharing how they built out their philanthropic models, which have been deeply successful, as you just saw this morning with another announcement of a $15 million investment to our Give to SF philanthropic fund, which will help us focus on housing stability, food security, basic needs that people have right now, supporting our immigrant worker community and our small businesses. So just that conversation has already borne so much great fruit that we want to continue to harvest.
That's right. Joaquin, what is the best resource, the website that people can get up-to-date information from your office at the moment?
Just right now, OEWD.org. OEWD.org has a full list of all the information at our Office of Economic and Workforce Development website. If that gets too complicated for you, there's always another path. We want to make sure there are many channels for information. So also SFGov is another site that you can go on. You can learn more about what it means to be an essential business, what resources are out there. But as a first stop, come to OEWD. We're very focused about the business experience. We're trying to refine as much as possible, but we also want to be sure that people are aware of both the public resources, state, federal resources, included to local, as well as private resources and programs that are here supporting the community during this time.
Excellent, thank you. And I'm sure that is being updated daily. I want to encourage anyone who has any questions to use our chat function and send us a couple of questions if you can. We have about another 15 minutes or so. This first question's come in, and it is one that is common, and it is difficult to answer, I believe, but I'll pass it along to you. Since we're learning about social distancing and masking in retail environments like grocery stores, why can't retailers fully open up at the moment, and not just curbside service, but maybe what research, what work is being done to try to get businesses open, brick and mortar businesses?
Sure. It's going to take a very thoughtful process in order to get our economy back up and running safely. And we know that people are going to be very impatient and also eager to get back up and running, and we share that sentiment. We're pushing about the most creative ways that we can see openings take place through, again, a public health lens. I would just want to share that the success that we've experienced in San Francisco is real. The capacity issues that could have been present for our hospital systems and our healthcare systems were not tested to the degree that other cities and counties have seen. And that is because of this very thoughtful process that we've employed in making these decisions. Again, the parameters are around, of course, state guidance as a first step. What is a state saying that we can pursue? Secondarily, the volume and density of people that are interacting in space, whether that's outside, and then also considering how that would take place inside. And of course, we want to minimize the amount of time that people are spending inside in relationship to each other because of the heightened degree that transmission would occur during that time. which is why we also include, while we have access to these essential services, at this time, our laundromats, our grocery stores, going to pick up delivery items at our restaurants, that people are required to wear those masks and to make sure that people continue to wear them. Right now, so first, following state guidelines, safety lens in terms of making sure that people are interacting in the right way, and then the volume and density lens and filter that we have to look through as well when we think about reopening. We've seen the phasing go from essential services, because we have to live and breathe and eat, and be able to provide those essential services that are needed for a social safety purpose and social infrastructure purpose. And then we also have to make sure at the same time that we are focusing very, very deeply on the outside activities that we have allowed to take place to date, and really following that logic model through. What additional opportunities and expansions of interaction can we allow? So those are the components that are at play right now. We, again, like you, for the questioner, are looking at those ways in which we can responsibly do that, so that we don't have this onslaught and full density of people that are interacting in a way where we are not able to respond collectively. The health officer in conversations has said, we don't want to be operating in the dark. We need more testing in place. We need more contact tracers in place to make sure that once someone has tested positive, we can quickly identify all those who have been potentially in interaction with that individual, to make sure that they can quarantine safely. We need to make sure that the infrastructure is in place to encourage those workers who may be concerned as deeply about their financial health, their financial security, as you are about their physical health, that they feel comfortable taking the time away from work because they will be financially protected during that time, and making sure there are resources available to them for that paid sick leave, in addition to a place where they can quarantine when they will not or may not be able to within their own living environments.
Thank you, Joaquin. That is a very comprehensive and thoughtful answer. And as you were answering, one of the questions came in, a very specific one: when are mattress retailers going to be considered to open up? And she writes back, Vanessa does, thank you. I think he responded to my question. So,
oh, that's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
So you can think about mattress shopping pretty soon. Another question is, and the Chamber is trying to achieve this as well, for non-English speaking business owners.
Yeah.
Are some of the city's websites, can you translate them, or have they been translated? I know some of the SF alerts that are going out are going in multi-language, but where are we in the multi-language distribution?
So there is a bit of a lag right now in terms of the public health orders going out, and it's been a policy choice made of get the information out as quickly as possible so that those who can respond are able to quickly, and then we're just pushing very, very fast on the translation services those follow as relates to those public health orders. The secondary piece is that on our websites, OEWD and the SF.gov sites, those are immediately and easily translatable, so you can get information there. I just responded to an immigrant organization making sure that they were aware of the recently announced Housing Stabilization Fund, so that people with rent related issues, housing related issues, can have their needs met through this program that's funded through our philanthropic fund. So easy to send them the link. I translated the page on the website, included the link that would take them directly to the, in this case, Spanish language translation of those services, so they could have that immediately with one click.
Thank you. Okay, and I know that you've given so much thought to.
One more thing, Rodney. And then for individuals, if they visit our site and they call in, both 311, of course, if people are going through that channel, they're getting immediately translated services, so that there is a bilingual opportunity there. The same thing is true when you call our lines, whether the workforce line or the small business line at our Office of Economic and Workforce Development, which is included on our OEWD.org website, that you have multilingual opportunities to have those translations take place there. In addition to our staff on the ground who's connected to our monolingual communities to ensure that they can be connected with in their own language. And interestingly enough, what we found out why that's important is because so many individuals do prefer. There is a real demand out there for people to receive information in their first language, and so we're very happy to be able to accommodate them and serve them in that way.
Okay, thank you. Maybe a fun one, and I know one of your responsibilities is the production of filming in San Francisco. And
Yeah.
if you can, we maybe just finished on just a high note with Project Ice Cream, and to some degree, if you can talk about where you think that is going. I know that is difficult right now, but will production, whether it's on the streets, begin again? And I know that's maybe not the super highest priority to get folks back open, but it is an important piece for San Francisco as we are shown to the world through film, through commercial, through TV, through internet. Just your thoughts on how that particular industry begins to look at recovery.
Certainly. So Susanna Robbins, who runs our San Francisco film office, has been working with the city attorney's office to get that level of clarity. And I believe it's Matt. Is it Matt Steicher?
That's correct.
Matt, if you could provide us with your email, we can get you some information and clarity this week on this. It is an area that we're looking at right now. Just looking at some of the information across countries in terms of what networks are doing in certain countries, and also in a studio-based environment. There's a difference between what you can do in a controlled studio environment versus elsewhere, depending on where the film opportunity is. This idea that you're consistently testing everyone, taking temperatures to also filter through for those who are symptomatic versus asymptomatic, and getting that infrastructure in place. How that works in a separate from a studio environment is still being worked out, as well as being attentive to smaller crews, smaller film sets that may be able to accommodate some of our public health concerns more quickly and easily than others. We're exploring those questions right now, and we want to get back to you, Matt, so we will.
Okay, thank you. I'll just speak from a personal perspective, and thank you, Joaquin. I know that you have been working incredibly hard your whole career, but these last 8, 9, 10 weeks have been outstanding, and a tremendous amount of energy output on your behalf. I know you work for and with great people, but often you are the face of a lot of things. I just want to thank you for your work and tireless dedication to San Francisco. And I know that you share the same goals of fighting for a lot of different people who don't necessarily have a voice, and want to make sure that everybody in San Francisco at all levels are protected. So I want to thank you.
Thank you so much, Rodney. I do have to say it's because of an extraordinary team of people that are working on this, including you and your staff, and the communities that you represent right now. It has truly been a San Francisco collective effort. And I think that in the midst of this, even while people are suffering, and we know that they are, and we know that their livelihoods are on the line, and we know that people need to have this feeling that government is working on their behalf extremely hard for them, and as quickly as possible. It really is because everyone is stepping up to the occasion in the moment. And I'm just very, very glad to be able to play a part during this time.
That's right. And I think we're all anxious to get back open, and the Chamber of Commerce is very anxious to get everyone back open, but we've got to do this safely. We've got to do this. We've talked about what the recovery may look like. It could be U-shaped. It could be V-shaped. What we want to be careful is that we don't have a W-shaped recovery where we have a false opening and consumer confidence is not there, or second outbreak happens where I'm not so certain that small businesses have the capital to open twice, to open up and be disappointed and then be forced to close and open again. So
to that point, Rodney, I think that's why we're trying to be as careful as possible. We do not want to fall back. We want to move forward. We want to move forward in a sustainable, sustained manner. And that's going to take us continuing very smart choices that we've already begun to employ.
Okay, we're going to wrap this up, but is there anything, I know people generally want to know what they can do, how they can help out, how they can get more information, any messages that you want to just deliver to the 70 so people that have signed up here and want to hear information that you're sharing and the chamber is sharing? Any last messages?
Yes, I just want to say to the commissioner, Matt Steicher, we'll be getting back to you directly. I sent you a quick note. But for everyone in San Francisco, just remember that we are going to get through this. We are an extraordinary city of doers and makers and believers in what's possible. And I know that through all of your ingenuity and a very responsive government that has our collective best interests in mind, that we will see a path through this. We will experience the light of positivity as we drive through this. And also making sure that during this time, anything you can do for those who are able to contribute to our efforts, whether it's around, there's a lead in the business community around protective equipment, personal protective equipment, or there's a lead in the community around, here are efforts to guide philanthropic investments that help serve our most vulnerable communities. Or there are businesses that you see that need a helping hand in getting more work done. And simply also just shouting out the success and positivity that we need to hold on to during this time so that we can get through this together. I know that blood donation is something that's been mentioned on the chat site right now. And so even those efforts of making sure that people are, and thank you very much, Cheryl, making sure that people are continuing to give during this time. And that also means practicing social distancing, wearing your mask, staying up to date on information, in the same way that we are, as a government, are to the best of our ability in the most diligent manner. And just a quick shout out, Rodney, not only to all the small businesses who are there, all the businesses and workers out there who are eager to support right now. I just want to say thank you for all of your support during this time and the great ideas that have been provided as a community. And then also a quick shout out to our OEWD staff who've been just busting it, trying to deliver as much in as great a speed as possible so that we can rise from this together. Thank you.
All right, Director Torres, you are busting it. Thank you very much. And just want to remind everyone the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce is a nonprofit. We are 100% dedicated or run through membership and support from members like you. I can maybe work for KQED someday. But if you can, go to our website, sfchamber.com, find out more about these webinars that we're producing weekly, sometimes 2-3 times a week. Information is live, is changing. This is one of the exciting pieces of living in San Francisco and being in a metropolitan city. Even in a crisis, things are dynamic, things are changing, and be part of it. So please join us. And if you're not a member of the Chamber, consider joining. It's not that expensive. Okay, thanks very much out there in webinar land. Thank you, Joaquin. Talk to you soon.
Thank you very much, Rodney. Thank you all.
Thank
Bye.
you.